welcome back to your own channel Chemistry Simplified by Pooja. Okay, now we are back with another video, but this time we are for class 10. Okay, now in my previous video we have already talked about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. So in this video I'll be sharing with you the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So let's get started. Let me just write the chemical properties of metals. Now in this video today we are going to share how does a metal react with acid, how do metal reacts with oxygen, depending upon the reactivity, what is the nature of a metal when it reacts with oxygen, whether the metals are basic oxides or the acidic oxides, etc. Okay, so let's begin. First thing, first we'll talk about what are the chemical properties of metals. First property is how does metal react with oxygen. How metal reacts with oxygen. So as we know that metals are electropositive in nature, okay, and they have a tendency to give electrons to form positive ions. Okay, now whenever a reaction takes place, what all the reactions that are taking place, it depends on the reactivity of the particular metal. So जितने भी reactions हो रहे हैं वो कैसे हो रहे हैं, वो हो रहे हैं as per the reactivity of the particular metal. For example, अगर सोडियम ऑक्सीजन के साथ रिएक्ट कर रहा है तो वो उसके reactivity की वजह से रिएक्ट कर रहा है. Magnesium is reacting with oxygen as per its own reactivity. So let's see what is the reactivity of all these metals, different metals, when they react with oxygen. First of all, sodium. Sodium can react with oxygen at room temperature to form sodium oxide, and you know that sodium is very reactive metal. Even a small piece of sodium, if you leave it on the table, what will happen? It is going to burst. Okay, so that much is the reactivity of a sodium metal. The next is magnesium. You know that when you burn a magnesium ribbon, if you take out a magnesium ribbon, it will not burn by itself. What you have to do, you have to first heat that or burn that magnesium ribbon. So when you burn a magnesium ribbon in the presence of oxygen, what happens? It burns with a white light, glowing light, to form magnesium oxide. Alright, then if you burn, suppose you are burning aluminium, so it is not going to react with oxygen at the room temperature or by burning it. It will react with very what we say. Let's take another example. This I'll teach you when I'll form the oxide. Then we can take zinc. When zinc burns in oxygen, it forms zinc oxide. Okay. Then we have iron. When iron burns in oxygen, it forms iron oxide. Similarly, copper. Copper is not very reactive. It reacts very slowly with oxygen. So copper with oxygen, it forms copper oxide. So here we have seen 5 different reactions. Okay, in all these 5 different reactions, here what we can see is that sodium can react with oxygen at room temperature. Magnesium, when we burn it in the presence of oxygen. Then zinc, if we want zinc to react, it needs very strong heating. When we strongly heat zinc, then it burns with oxygen. Iron, again it has to burn very strongly. Okay, if you heat it very strongly in the presence of oxygen, then only it is going to form an oxide, but it is not going to burn. Okay, and then copper, again it takes a lot of time for copper to react with oxygen. So depending on this, what we can see is that sodium is more reactive. If we compare all these 5 metals, we can see sodium is more reactive as compared to magnesium. Magnesium is more reactive as compared to zinc. Zinc is more reactive as compared to iron, and iron is more reactive as compared to copper. So as I told you that these metals react as per their reactivity order. जो जितना ज्यादा रिएक्टिव है उसका रिएक्शन उतना ही फास्ट होगा. Okay, now how this metal and oxygen, how they are forming a bond, how a metal forms an oxide. So for example, we know that metals have a tendency to lose electron. Okay, if I take an example of suppose magnesium, its electronic configuration is 2, 8, 2. Okay, that means it can lose 2 electron to form Mg2 plus ion. Okay, likewise oxygen is 2, 6. That means it has a tendency to accept 2 electron. It can accept 2 electron to form O2 minus. Okay, now magnesium, which is an electropositive metal, okay, it has 2 electrons and oxygen needs 2 electrons. So what it will do, it is going to give, suppose it has 2 electrons, okay, and oxygen requires these 2 electrons, so oxygen will accept these 2 electrons from magnesium and form Mg2 plus and O2 minus, or we write it as MgO. Okay, so this is how a oxide is formed. Now what is the nature of this oxide? So metals, when they react with oxygen, they form basic oxides. Metal form basic oxides. Okay, now there are certain metal oxides which are amphoteric in nature also. There are certain oxides, basic oxides, which are amphoteric in nature. Amphoteric means what? Amphoteric means those which metal oxide which react with both acid as well as base. For example, we can see the basic nature of zinc oxide and the acidic nature of zinc oxide. Let's see the basic nature and acidic nature of zinc oxide. Acidic. Now, acidic means that it reacts with an acid to form a particular compound. Let's see what it makes. Zinc oxide, when it reacts with sulfuric acid. This will show me the acidic nature of zinc. And next one is your basic nature, how zinc oxide will react with sodium hydroxide. So, what will happen if zinc oxide reacts with sulfuric acid? It is going to form a zinc sulfate. And we will get water. Likewise, if zinc oxide reacts with sodium hydroxide, it will form sodium zincate. Na2Zn O2 plus a water molecule. You can balance the equation also. Okay. So what are amphoteric oxides which can react with acid as well as a base? So this is how the metal reacts with oxygen. What happens when metals react with oxygen? When metals react with oxygen, they form basic oxides, and the reaction takes place according to the reactivity order of these metals. From the above example, we have seen that sodium is more reactive than magnesium, magnesium is more reactive than zinc, zinc is more reactive than iron, and iron is more reactive than copper. Okay, so this is how the reaction takes place. Next we have is how do metals react with water? How do metals react with water? I'll take some space here. Just now I told you they react as per their reactivity order. So second is reaction of metal very reactive. So it can react with hot water also, it can react with cold water also. So what will happen when sodium reacts with cold water? It is going to form a sodium hydroxide. It can react with cold water as well. Okay. Then now I am not balancing because I know you people have already learned the balancing of equations, so you can balance it by yourself. Or if you want, I can simply balance it. So I think it is now balanced also. To oxygen. Not balanced. How we can balance it? We can see. Sodium. Yeah, hydrogen gas will be liberated. Okay, so sodium can react with cold water also, it can react with hot water also, but not the same with the magnesium. So magnesium cannot react with cold water, it will react with warm water. So magnesium plus water, it will form, first it will form magnesium oxide and then it will form magnesium hydroxide. Okay, likewise, if you talk about zinc, zinc is going to decompose with boiling water only. Okay, if you talk about copper, copper, is it going to react with water? No, it is not going to react with water. There will be no reaction of copper with water because copper is very less reactive as compared to the other elements here. We can balance the equation also if you want. So we have covered the reaction of metals with water and reaction of metals with oxygen. Okay, so here also we can see they are sodium can react with cold as well as hot water, magnesium will react only with warm water, zinc will also react with boiling water, and copper will not react with water at all. Okay, then we have the next reaction is how do metals react with dilute acids. How do metals react with dilute acid? So this with dilute acid. So first we have is reaction of sodium with dilute HCl. So when a metal reacts with dilute acid, it will form a metal salt and liberate hydrogen gas. So when sodium reacts with HCl, it will form sodium chloride and hydrogen gas will be liberated. You can balance the equation also. Okay, if it will react, sodium is going to react with dilute H2SO4, it is going to form a salt and liberate hydrogen gas. Okay, likewise there are many more reactions like the reaction of magnesium with dilute HCl, it will form magnesium chloride and liberate hydrogen gas. If magnesium is reacting with sulfuric acid, it is going to form magnesium sulfate and liberate hydrogen gas. Okay, if zinc is reacting with dilute HCl, it will form zinc chloride and liberate hydrogen gas. If zinc is reacting with dilute H2SO4, it is going to form ZnSO4 and liberate hydrogen gas. All these are dilute acids. Okay, so this is the reaction of metals with dilute acids. Now what will happen if copper is reacting with dilute HCl? Will the reaction take place? Copper with dilute H2SO4. Why or why not? In all these reactions, what we are seeing that sodium is more reactive. When we study in the next video, we will be studying about the reactivity order. So what happens that all the metals which are more reactive than hydrogen can easily displace hydrogen in all these reactions what we are seeing is that sodium is displacing hydrogen, magnesium is displacing hydrogen, zinc is displacing hydrogen. Why? Because they are more reactive than hydrogen in the reactivity series. But if we see the reaction of copper with acid, then it is not going to displace hydrogen. Okay, so there will be no reaction. There will be no reaction. Okay, so this is how the metals react with acid, dilute acids. Okay, so what we have learned today, we have learned the reaction of metals with oxygen, how the metals react as per their reactivity order. The one which is more reactive will react more violently, the reaction will be more violent as compared to the less reactive metal. Then we have seen that metals form basic oxides when they react with oxygen. Then we have seen the reaction of metals with water. What happens? Metal reacts with water to form metal hydroxide. Okay, and this metal hydroxides. Now there another fact that these are the bases. Okay, and another point is that all bases and alkalis, what are alkalis and what are bases. Then we'll be discussing it later in the next video maybe. Then we have seen the reaction of metals with dilute acid, how metals react with dilute acid. Metals react with dilute acid to form metal salt and liberate hydrogen gas. The metals which are more reactive than hydrogen, they displace hydrogen from their solution, whereas the metals which are less reactive than hydrogen, they do not displace hydrogen from the reaction. Okay, so I think this much is clear. More to see the next part of the video, do catch up and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. I'll wait for you. Till then, goodbye.